What's up, everybody? This is the Kitchen Talks podcast, episode 1, with your hosts, Nathan Peshta.
And your other host, Preston Turner.
What's up, guys? So, being that this is episode 1, we're both just going to give a quick introduction here, and we're going to get into it. So, my name's Nathan. I'm 20 years old. I also make music, and I live with Preston. Me and him are actually roommates. We'll get into why we named it Kitchen Talks, why we named the podcast Kitchen Talks in a little bit. But yeah, so that's me in a nutshell. My name's Nathan. I make music and I live with Preston.
So my name's Preston, and I live with Nate. So I have a huge interest in political science. So from what we know, we're going to be talking a little bit about that too.
Mm-hmm.
And I also have huge interest in philosophy and all that sorts of stuff.
Yeah. So we made this podcast here. We're calling it Kitchen Talks because me and Preston, well, Preston's also my stepbrother. So we moved in together. So we're both going to the same college. We won't say the name of the college or anything. We're gonna keep it a little private, but we moved in together about 2 years ago. So we've been living together as roommates. And a couple months ago, for a while now, actually, we've been talking about making a podcast. We're both kind of trying to figure out what we want to do and experiment with some different things. So, and we like to talk a lot at night in the kitchen. That's where our conversations happen. So we decided to name this podcast Kitchen Talks. It's going to cover pretty much anything we want to talk about, just random stuff, politics, world stuff, anything personal we're dealing with that we want to talk about, just pretty much anything. So did I miss anything?
No, you covered it. Covered it pretty good.
All right. So, I'm going to take a bite out of this brownie real quick. So the election is in a week from today.
Week from today. It's going to be an interesting night for sure.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be, there's a lot on the line. Well, screw it. Give some your predictions on what you think is going to happen.
Oh man, it could go really either way. Like the polls have Biden ahead in a lot of states, but it's looking like in key states like Michigan, Florida, Nevada, he's struggling. So that may be cause for concern for Biden. Although Trump is in trouble mainly, I think, because of the draw out of a lot of Democrats that will be showing up.
Yeah, 62 million votes or ballots already sent out. That's a lot of voters this election.
Oh God, yeah, and we already have millions in Colorado and probably even California. I mean, it'll definitely be an interesting night. The one thing that will be concerning is how long it will take them to count all those mail-in ballots on election day.
So we may not see the results for a while.
Yeah,
it could be like what was the election that had a recount or that took a long time? Was it Gore?
Yeah,
Al Gore and yeah.
Yep, Al Gore. That it went to the Supreme Court, and it could go to the Supreme Court, and we got a new Supreme Court justice. So
maybe that's why Trump nominated her. Yeah, it's a lot riding on the line. I'd say I think it's going to be close. Also, I do think Biden's going to win, though. I'm starting to lean that way. I think something tells me the amount of, because there's 62 million, we're probably going to have record numbers in terms of voters, and I think that's a sign that people are definitely taking it serious, and I think there a lot of people are leaning towards Biden. That's my opinion, though. I don't know. Could be the other way around.
Well, I think yeah, I think you're heading in the right direction for sure because if we're having that kind of turnout a week before the election, I mean it, that could mean a shift in uh, thinking. People
Hmm.
are anxious, but
Yeah. Um, I'm trying to think here. What's Oh yeah. So, do you think that the COVID-19? Obviously, we've been in a pandemic for almost a year now. It's nothing new to anyone listening, but do you think COVID will disappear faster, or at least get under more control in the U.S. under Biden than it will Trump? Do you think it'll last? We'll see a lot more deaths if Trump gets reelected. Without, we don't have to give our personal political views, but do you think probably that Biden would get that better under control?
you know, I think so. It all depends on because I'm not sure what kind of powers he has to create a national mass mandate. I mean, that could
Hmm.
definitely be that may be something he might try and do for an executive order. Um, the only thing is, people in red states may, uh, well, in any state, rural or um, even urban, there will be people that'll try and ignore that if there isn't any um, repercussions for it.
Yeah,
Uh, Another thing,
because they'll
by
say that they'll still play the Liberty card.
mm-hmm,
Yeah,
yep,
regardless.
yeah, and another thing we could probably see uh, an increased amount of testing funding, maybe for testing, and a vaccine may get to us a little bit sooner. But yeah, I do see a Biden administration dealing with it a lot better,
Yeah,
just because of he promotes that a lot more. It seems like.
I agree. And we're gonna side note to the listeners, we're gonna try to keep it when we talk politics. We're gonna try to keep it pretty neutral, but um definitely we're gonna keep it real too. And I agree that I don't think Trump's taking the virus serious. And that's why we've had so many deaths and lead the world in cases. Um, and I agree. I think Biden is more professional, and I think Biden holds a regardless of his gaffes and all that, he holds a calm demeanor most of the time and takes things serious. So on that note, I think we would be better off in terms of the COVID pandemic.
Yeah, I think so. The, what what thing do you think Trump may do, or do you think Trump will handle it better in his next term?
With COVID.
Yeah.
Uh, I think the only positive with Trump is, uh, well, he he wants to keep things open
Mm-hmm.
economically. He's economic minded. It's obvious. Um, but I don't think he really has a plan. They're talking Operation Warp Speed, where they're gonna have the military deliver vaccines, which from what I've heard, the military hasn't really heard anything of that. So it's kind of strange. What I hope he does have a plan if he does get reelected. I hope he's at least working on a plan right now. But I don't think he has, man. I just don't
Yeah.
think he has. I don't think he cares about it. I think he more cares about the economy, which is fine if that's your main focus. But health wise, I don't know. I think he just hopes that it's gonna just go away.
Yeah, and you hit it right on the nail. He focuses way more on the opening up side of stuff, and that has been shown through the reopening of many states, it's actually increased the amount of cases because people are going out, not
Hmm.
wearing masks. I mean, they feel comfortable to get in large groupings like that.
Yeah. Um, when are they saying they're predicting the vaccine should be ready next, at least in 2021, right?
Yeah,
The
not
beginning of the year, or no?
yeah. Let me look. I think
You can look that up. Yeah.
uh,
I'm not sure, honestly. There's so many different reports. Trump says they're already sending it out. Then you got people saying it won't be ready for 2 years and like just contradicting reports. So,
it says um 12 to 18 months at best for before it's ready for the public. This is
okay.
from WebMD. Uh, but let's see here. It probably leading into um, November of next year.
Mm, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. That'll probably be regardless of who wins the presidency. That won't change much.
Mm-hmm. Or,
So,
or the end of this year, or sorry, no, at the end of this year or the
okay.
beginning of 2021. They
Ah,
said.
okay. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good sign if they can get it a lot sooner because the virus could be going into November of 2021.
Yeah. You do you think this even you personally this pandemic has affected you mentally definitely, or like in terms of mental health and emotion and
Oh God, yeah, um, yeah. Every time I go into work, or both me and you go
yeah.
into work, your mindset is totally changed on how you go about your day,
Mhm.
and if anyone even lets out a cough, you kind of start to go, okay. Or they let out multiple coughs, you're like, oh fuck, okay, here we go.
Yeah.
you, gotta,
Yeah.
you really got to watch what you're doing. It just and even personally touching your face, everything. It's
I'm
been
touching my face right now. Yeah, I know.
it's
I
those
agree.
it's those
What were you
small
saying?
habits, man.
Yeah.
They're that could get you sick.
Yeah, those small habits that you're used to doing in the regular world. Um, yeah, and I think being just the amount of news, and I've definitely seen an uptick in my use of my smartphone, social media. Uh, it's definitely been tough. Haven't felt the best during this pandemic. It's a little depressing, and I only imagine people with people with like severe mental illness, depression, and things of that nature feel right now. Probably, especially when we were in lockdown and isolation, people in bigger cities that were on straight up lockdown, where you couldn't even leave your apartment or house. Uh, that definitely isolation is one of the worst things for people already struggling mentally. So it's going to be nice when this whole thing goes away for sure.
Yeah, and
It's going to
that
feel good.
it will be. I mean, just it will allow people to really go out. I think the positive side of this is once this is over, people hopefully will recognize a lot of opportunities at hand
Hmm.
and go out and get those. I think
Yeah.
it has shown people how fragile our economic system is and just how fast stuff can go away.
And if you were smart and were being introspective and looking inside yourself during this time, which it forced a lot of people to do, I think. Uh, maybe more people will come out of this chasing their dreams, realizing they
Yeah.
weren't content with how they were living before. Maybe they're being locked up with their significant other was not a great time. They realize maybe it's time to move on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's gonna be a lot of, it depends. There'll be 2 type of people, the ones who just rolled with it or the ones who, uh, use the time alone and in isolation to really think about things.
Yeah. Well, me and you both, man,
We
we
yeah.
talk about that all the time. I mean, we've been thinking about ourselves introspectively almost every day.
Well, I think that's you weren't thinking too much about passion and things that I can remember before this you probably brought it more to light during the pandemic, it seems like.
Yeah, it really did, and I think so. The pandemic hit like right before I was about to graduate, so
Mhm.
I was locked up in schoolwork, and that was my main focus. I was thinking about those things, but once school ended, I was like, "What the hell am I gonna do?" And of course, the COVID made that a whole hell of a lot worse, just because of the mere fact that opportunities it artistically would like filmmaking have become
Yep.
limited.
Yeah. Um, you can go ahead and tell me you graduated college,
Oh yeah,
uh,
yeah, I graduated and everything.
political science.
Political science.
Um, and I'm in my junior year of college. I'm doing strictly online now. Part of that decision was because of COVID. I was not comfortable going back. Uh, but anyway, we just threw that in there. Yeah, it's something we talk about all the time. You being interested in filmmaking, me being interested in music, which is both part of the arts. It's tough, um, but COVID is definitely being isolated and forces you to think for sure, and it can be not pleasant to be stuck in your mind.
Well, another thing we've noticed and we've talked about this a lot is you start to look up and read uh, inspirational stuff, and that almost
Yeah,
becomes like you get locked into that, and it's
Gary
good.
V.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's good until you really start getting locked into it until that becomes a routine where you're just watching stuff instead of doing.
instead of actually going out there.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we love Gary V.
Yeah.
Don't get us wrong, but it's true. Those inspirational guys that you see all over social media nowadays, you can watch too much of that because it becomes just a drug to watch those videos rather than actually do anything because you're getting the same response, like chemical response. I think when you watch those videos as if you were actually doing something, you feel that charge. I think that's what it is.
Yeah, and do you so when you watch those and when you get that great feeling, but when you get done, do you think, "Oh, okay, well, what do I do with this
Hmm.
now?"
You feel very, very inspired,
Feel very
on
inspired.
top of the world, but and that's why I think that's why those guys make those videos. I'm sure they have good intentions. I'm sure Gary Vee has good intentions, but I'm sure he also knows when you see his face flooded all over your Instagram feed, um, he's just gonna keep throwing these videos because the same people come back to him. They're great though. I mean, I
Mhm.
have some of Gary Vee's books. I watch his YouTube videos. They're great. He's a very intelligent guy, especially for someone who wants to be entrepreneurial. But yeah, I think those guys definitely know that there's a factor of dopamine, whatever chemical in the brain when people watch those videos that gets them charged up.
And that's what they come back for is that feeling
Hmm.
that
Every time,
this is gonna help me.
and it can, but it's only if you take action. Action, action, action. Less talk, more action, huh?
Mhm.
That's a tough one.
Action's the tough part. That's the actual mountain to climb over.
Hmm. That is the hurdle. Uh, who else is another guy I've watched a lot of Reddit a lot. Tony Robbins. Yeah, Tony Robbins. I love Tony Robbins. But he has those seminars where people go spend 3 days with him, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my, yeah. People he really gets people fired up to make a change. Who knows if they actually do make the changes though. Well, he's even said in an interview, people will call him and say, that advice you gave me didn't work. And he says, well, did you try it?
Mm-hmm.
And they say, well, no, I'm still, and it's been like a year. And he's like, well, yeah, you can't just, you got to actually do what I said. Yeah.
Well, and it takes more. It takes a long time. Yeah, I mean, I think that's the thing. People want it right then
Want
and
it
there.
instant satisfaction. You think that's from probably, we're probably preaching to the choir, but social media and
Mm-hmm.
smartphones, technology, great thing. But I think that's what builds that how you want instant satisfaction.
Yeah, we live in an instant satisfaction world right now. It's
Dating apps.
dating apps. Uh,
That's something we've talked a lot about.
uh-huh. Yeah, because we've tried those out.
Oh man, I Tinder
Mm-hmm.
among others, but it's oh man, Tinder.
Yeah, that the illusion of feeling like you're doing something to a certain extent, right?
Yeah, it feels like you're measuring your self-worth on how many matches you're getting,
Mm-hmm. And
even though
yet
you
another.
don't know how many people are seeing your profile. They could be throwing you at the bottom.
Mm-hmm. And it's another dopamine fix, just like anything else. It's activating all that exciting feelings in your
Chemicals.
body, those chemicals.
Yep, yep. Uh, and I can't say I've ever got off of one of those apps and felt great. Maybe
Y-
for 10, 20 minutes.
Yeah, as soon as you get that a match or you start talking to somebody, you may feel good, but most of the time, I'd say a good 80%. It could be just that same kind of gnarly feeling after you get off of there.
And they try the half-assed um select your passions, and
Mm-hmm.
people will it's not like they're actually looking at that.
No.
It's the pictures. I mean, Tinder tried the half-assed, yeah, select your passions, and that's just their way of saying, no, we're trying to be a legit match finding app, but no.
Yeah,
No, no, no.
and they tried that. What is it called? The late night. Um,
Oh God.
made that
Oh,
stick.
the game that you play,
Mm-hmm.
that is a time waster.
Yeah, it did
My
do what it
God.
set out to do. That's for
No.
sure.
Um, yeah, that's for when you're bored and you
Mm-hmm.
got nothing better to do. Uh, TikTok is another thing that is hard to not look at. I mean, I've been posting some uh short little remixes, if you will, on there, and so I do use it for that. But the other night I was scrolling through there and you get trapped up, just it's like addicting to look through it because there's funny stuff, there's whatever, but most of the time all you need is a pretty face, big ass, big tits, abs, whatever, and you'll get millions of likes easily. You can just lip sing like a 5-second clip and move your arm and you'll get 5 million likes on there. And then you're famous all of a sudden just for doing that. It's crazy. It's crazy.
And the algorithm really makes things easier, doesn't it?
Oh God, your video, if you post a video, it's guaranteed to get at least 500 views every time, it seems.
See
And then
that?
if it blows up from there, if a lot of people like it or whatever, it pushes it even further.
How long do you think that algorithm will last? Because I know that like YouTube had a decent algorithm at one point, didn't it?
Oh yeah, YouTube, Instagram, they all start out with great algorithms because it seems that developers they it's more about content creating, and then pretty soon that gets patched. Instagram, you'd be lucky to get any engagement anymore on there. Uh, it seems like the social media is made to get yourself out there for content creators, but it seems like some of these apps are actually acting against you in a way. They don't want you to get seen unless you're already on top.
Yeah, and that's this screwed up part about it is that it seems like once a select few really get popular, that's when the algorithm really starts to be discriminatory
Yeah.
towards other creators.
Yeah, and um trying to think of any other Snapchat. I mean, Snapchat, there's no algorithm to that. Uh Snapchat's just basically to communicate with people you know. But they do have I can see them soon trying to probably introduce like their own little videos that you can besides stories, but like actual like profiles and stuff I could see them doing to try to compete.
Yeah, I bet. I mean, because a lot of influential people on both YouTube, Twitter, Instagram, they use Snapchat too to promote their stuff. So I that could definitely happen.
Yeah.
Does Spotify have an algorithm that it uses?
I think so because if I pull up my Spotify for Artists app, it says some of my songs get streams from Spotify algorithmic playlists. Yeah. So they do. I guess if your song after you listen to a song, it'll show you the recommended songs after that. So that's the algorithm, I'm sure. And it'll push other songs up there. If you're lucky, one of your songs might get really pushed up there onto one of their playlists or whatever.
Okay, so pretty much any software where you are promoting yourself out there, they use an algorithm to basically lift certain people up to where they're getting some sort of views.
Pretty much. Pretty much. I saw it on TikTok today. Weird. What was it called? Something Sentinel Island. See, this is where I actually learned something on TikTok. Sentinel. I'm looking it up right now. Okay, let's see here. Pull up my phone. Sentinel Island people. Yeah, North Sentinel Island. So it's an island in India. It's an island that is the government's banned from going over there. No, everyone's banned from going over there.
The
The,
U.S. government or anybody.
anybody. Yeah, because they will kill. And I mean, I just saw this actually in December 2018. It looks like uh, an American was killed by that tribe who tried to go down. He tried to go down there. So yeah,
Really?
yeah, they're on here at Wikipedia. Just when it first pops up, it says that they're indigenous people who have rejected any contact with the outside world. So yeah, they'll kill you if you try to go down there. Some people just
Wow.
leave them alone. Yeah, so that was I don't know why I brought that up, but it was strange to me. I wonder how many. This is pretty random, but I wonder how many tribes like that there actually are in the world. There probably quite a few,
Yeah, I mean,
and they probably don't have COVID either.
yeah, and ironically enough, right? The yeah, the Sentinelese looks
Yeah,
like what they're called.
yeah, crazy. That was just a random fact I wanted to throw in there because I was planning on bringing that up at some point because I thought it was crazy.
Yeah, well, in TikTok brought that to you, huh?
TikTok did. It did. It was on as I was scrolling. Some girl was talking about him.
Wow.
Weird. Um, Man, crazy world.
Yes.
And this is only episode 1. This is only episode 1.
Yep, and the world's only going to keep getting crazier. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to talk about.
Definitely. Um, what do you think what do you think people the younger generation, do you think the mindset is changing in terms of more people wanting to be enlightened and find their passions, find their purpose and whatnot, rather than just being okay with the norm?
Yeah, yeah. As long as they find it, I think that we have more open access to a lot of influential ideas to make your life better. I think we will see that though.
The
Uh,
self-improvement generation, huh?
the self improvement generation.
Self-help or self guru, yeah, the gurus.
Yeah, I think within probably the next 5-10 years, I think we'll as our generation and the generation uh, after us, we'll start to see a lot of people that carry a more positive mindset into the world and
I
help
believe so.
themselves.
Mhm.
I think this always happens throughout history too, but I think it's especially true with the younger generation. And I think, and you see this a lot on in the music industry too.
I do. I do definitely. It's just a lot of people are focused now on, well, since social media, that's the good thing about social media is people can do anything now. But it also causes a lot of distress. Um, Something that I've noticed with me is it's caused me to compare myself to others a lot more. So it's good. This generation we're talking about, this positive mindset generation, will be good for the ones who actually um, are successful. But I think it'll be negative towards people who aren't able to believe in themselves enough to get out there. Like the
Hmm.
people who are on top are, of course, they're going to feel good. But the people who may not I think everyone has a purpose and a passion they can find. But I think the people who maybe weren't so quick to have success online are going to feel maybe a little bad about it. So there'll be a plus and a minus on that, positive and a negative. But it's definitely opened up opportunities for everybody.
Yeah, and I think we'll start to see a lot more people take advantage of those opportunities because even at well, you see it all over online, and people have more access to that information,
Yeah,
and they'll be able to do a whole hell of a lot more with it now just because of the internet. And once going back to COVID, once COVID's over with, I think people in our generation will be really anxious to just get out there and get things done.
I think so. Um, it's gonna be crazy.
Yeah.
It's definitely gonna be crazy. I think. Well, hopefully people don't go out too fast,
Yeah.
but uh, yeah, I think you're right. People are gonna be more eager to hopefully chase what they want to do, which is something we talk about a lot. Don't Anybody out there listening, don't settle for less.
Hmm.
We're learning that still. We don't have it figured out, but we're aware of it.
Yep, and that is the tough part is figuring out what you want to do. That's the tough question we talk about every night.
Every single
Is
night.
um
And how you gotta have patience.
mhm.
Which is hard. It won't be. It's what I'm learning. Patience.
Patience and experimenting, figuring out what food you like as an example is just
Yeah.
you got to taste things.
And there's no rush, which is what our society likes to say there is.
Mhm.
Big rush to get to be on top right away. It's just not how it works, though.
Yep, and
Well, you can, but it won't be organic. It'll be rushed, and a lot of people will spend loads of money just to get a taste of whatever they're looking for in terms of fame.
yep, and you miss out on the process, the
Building up, yeah.
yeah, of building up. And if you're not paying attention to whether you really like it or whether you really don't like it, you could be ignoring a lot of stuff.
Yeah, I think the process is there for a reason.
Mhm.
I think the process, you learn things along the way about yourself that you wouldn't learn if you just were there. All poof, you're there where you want to be all of a sudden, whatever that may be.
And the poof may poof out of nowhere factor could kind of you wouldn't get the feeling that you'd think you'd get out of it. Maybe temporarily,
Then you'd
but
have nothing to chase anymore. Yeah.
uh-huh. And that feeling will probably be just as destructive as the way you felt before.
It's like someone losing weight, huh?
Mhm.
Where it's sure they could go get like whatever surgery to, you know, fat reduction surgery and not put in any work.
Mhm.
But I think the people, at least that I've seen online, I haven't really talked to any in person, but that I've went on a weight loss journey. It's more of a character building thing than anything. Sure, you look great at the end, and that's great, but it's more in the inside. Is what I've heard. Like
Mm.
it tests your mental. You learn a lot of that yourself, and
Yeah.
that you can compare that to anything.
Yeah, it's the
There wouldn't be a process if there wasn't a reason for it,
mhm.
and you wouldn't be tested. Hate to sound cliche, but it seems like everything kind of happens for a reason. If you
Mhm.
let it, if you let it.
Yeah, the process is there for you to learn. And you know, if you jump start to a certain point, it's you already knew something. So, but the process is purely there for you to learn along the way on what you need to do next.
And then there's people who don't. They're fine with uh, just not really chasing much, which is fine too.
Mm-hmm.
I That's fine too. But um, as long as that's really what they want to do, but they will be. I think they will be unhappy. We know some people who have seem stuck in place. I'm
Mm-hmm.
not going to say where or who, but we know some people, and we talk about them sometimes, whether it's people in everyday life, coworkers, whatever. Um, Seems a lot of people are stuck in place because they think that's all magic. Like that people their goals might seem really far away, which I can relate to that too. Uh, it does seem far away when you just want nothing more than to find where you sit in the world.
Mm-hmm. And even worse yet, they don't. Well, yeah, they don't believe they can, or they've reached a certain point in their lives where they have a lot of things weighing them down, either financially or mentally, where they feel absolutely stuck forever. And then, but it's always that first step, isn't it?
It's the first step, and they tell you it's too late if you're 60 or whatever, and yeah, that's another thing. They think it's too late maybe because they've been told the whole age lie If you don't, you're too old to try that.
Yeah,
We're
that
gonna shatter these boundaries. Screw these boundaries.
there are none.
There are none. Look at us doing a podcast on Zencaster. Hell
On
yeah.
the starting place to blow up ideas.
Yeah. Um, man, that's solid. We're at 40 minutes. I'm looking here on the screen. And that's we didn't even touch on. I got a lot of thoughts swimming in my head I could ramble on about. But we're gonna shoot for 45-minute episodes, guys. Any of you listeners out there? So there's a lot of podcasts out there that go on for a long time, which is cool. But if we're being honest, we know no one really sits through and listens to it all. So we're gonna try to keep them 45 minutes so you can get your daily or your weekly dose of Nathan and Preston thoughts within a 45-minute span. Um, so on that note, we can talk about some next week's episode and what our goals are moving forward, and that'll probably take us to the end of the first episode.
Yeah. Well, next week we got the election
Oh,
Tuesday.
we'll be talking about the results of the election. So that's going to be a good one. You guys won't want to miss that one.
We may have to try something live. I
We
don't
may.
know. I don't know if that's possible with our setup, but we could try watching the results live. And
Ooh, that would be Tuesday. You're right. When we record, because we're going to be recording Tuesday nights. Wow. Yeah,
that is perfect timing.
that is. We probably won't know the results though, from like we
Yeah,
said at the beginning.
and that'll probably go into till 3 a.m.
Oh God.
Well, into the a.m.s. Who knows?
Uh,
It could end like that. Who knows?
well, goals for the podcast. We're going to try to get some guests on eventually, like interview some people.
Mm-hmm.
That would be really cool, and we can do it virtually too. Um, I've got some people in mind that I know that I'd like to have on here. I'm sure you could find some people too.
Oh, for sure.
And as we grow, we'll be interviewing maybe even Trump and Biden. No,
Yeah.
and Kanye and whoever the hell we want. Um, we're gonna interview Joe Rogan.
Joe Rogan. Let's do it.
He's a big inspiration for this pod. I think for us starting it too. Like,
Mm-hmm.
you watch him, and the idea that we were just gonna hop on here because we talk a lot already. We were just gonna hop on here and talk. I think Joe Rogan made that like an idea for a lot of people because he
Oh,
made it
yeah.
like, wow, you can just sit here and talk for 5 hours and with a guy like Alex Jones, and you're good.
Yeah. Yeah, I
But
didn't think about that, but yeah, he really was. I mean, just this format alone.
yeah, but yeah, goals. So interviews. We're gonna try to eventually film like the studio setup type thing
Mm-hmm.
where it's like you actually see us, and but for now it's all gonna be audio, and one episode a week uploaded on Wednesday mornings. We record on Tuesday nights. Anything else?
I think that's it, and we'll always be talking about
In the episode with the quote. Get the Marcus Aurelius quote.
the Marcus Aurelius quote. Let's see what I can
End
pull
end
out here.
it end it with a quote for the people.
Let's see here. I got something.
I know you do.
I got something. Let's see here.
Good old Marcus.
Good old
We'll
Marcus.
talk stoicism on one of these episodes for sure. We got a lot more to talk about.
Oh God, we haven't even scratched the surface.
No, this was pretty basic.
So today's quote: leave someone's wrong where it lies. Leave another's wrong where it lies.
Leave another's wrong where it lies.
Mm-hmm.
So let it go.
So let it go and move on.
On that note, guys, we're gonna let you move on from the podcast. 45 minutes. I'm Nathan Pescia,
And this is Preston Turner.
and this was Kitchen Talks. We'll see you next week.